Hello and welcome to today's webinar. We're going to be looking at the online environment, what services are going to be available to you online, and we'll have a quick look at what it looks like, show you some screenshots and talk you through some of the functionality. Before we do, let me introduce myself. I'm Iain Shadlock, the trainer for the contact centre, and I've been working in the department for about 9 years now. I'm sure most of you watching today have spoken to us at some point before, and as always, we'll be on hand to offer guidance and technical support over the next few months. I'm joined today by Kelly Ray, my colleague, so I'll pass you over to her.
Hello, and a warm welcome from me. I've been with the organisation for 14 years, the last 5 of which I've been a team coordinator within the operations unit based at Redditch. My unit deals with a variety of application forms such as annual renewal of practicing certificates and firm recognition, and also the annual keeping on the roll of solicitors. We also deal with requests to update information held on our database, for example, a change in practicing details. I'm going to talk a little bit about why we're moving our services online. One of the key reasons for moving online is to improve them for you. The benefits you'll expect to see will include a reduction in the time it takes us to process an application form. Currently, this could take 30 days for most applications. Moving forward, many decisions on your applications will be instant. However, there will be some instances where we still may require some decisions to be made by us and further information required from yourself, which may delay the application or notification. Moving online will also allow you or your firm or organisation to update their details online. This gives you more control over the data we hold and means that the information is updated immediately. We believe that this will result in us being able to communicate with you more effectively and ensure you receive the information you require when you need it. You will be able to track your applications that you make online, which ultimately means that you'll be more aware of how it is progressing without having to do anything further. Moving our services online will improve our working practices and help us focus on applications that need more form of decisions made by us, and we'll be able to support the individual firms and organisations through the process. And certainly finally, moving online will mean that there'll be a significant reduction in the amount of paper we use as an organisation, certainly something that many organisations currently are striving to do. To ensure that you receive the details of how to register online, it is very important that the SRA hold the up-to-date contact details for you. If your details have recently changed, please do ensure that you notify us by telephoning our contact centre on 0870 606 2555, or you may email us at contactcentre@sra.org.uk. So what will you be able to do using My SRA? As an individual, you'll be able to maintain your web profile. By this, we actually mean your username and password. You'll be able to reset your password. Please do note, though, the password will need to meet a set criteria which requires a combination of letters and numbers and symbols, so you may want to start thinking about this now. Should you forget your password, however, there's no need to worry. You can request a new one by simply clicking on a tab called Forgotten Password, and we're going to show you some screenshots later on in this webinar. You'll also be able to maintain your individual profile. By this, we mean details about you specifically. You'll be able to register a change of name, change your contact details such as your home or business address, including telephone numbers and faxes. You can also tell us about a change of your email address, any work categories, languages. You'll be able to make payment online via credit or debit card, and you'll also be able to track your application. So what can a firm-based practice do online? Similar to an individual, you'll be able to maintain your firm's profile. you'll be able to register a change of name, change contact details such as an address, telephone, fax numbers and emails. You'll be able to update a new branch office, advise us of a firm closure. You'll also be able to make payment online using fax, chat, telegraphic transfer, and you'll also still continue to use loan companies such as exclusive benefits, and again you'll be able to track your application online. You can find a full list of our applications and notifications due to go online by the end of 2011 at www.sra.org/mysra/services.page. I'm going to hand you over to my colleague Iain now to talk about some key dates that you may be interested in.
Thanks, Kelly. In our last webinar, we talked in very general terms about when you'll start to receive communications from us about the online services. So we'd like to give you a bit more detail on that today to make you aware of exactly when we'll be writing out. The first letter you're going to receive will be sent out from the end of June, and we'll be sending those letters to all solicitors, registered European lawyers and registered foreign lawyers. And that letter will confirm that we're going online, and it will let you know when to expect the activation code. At that point, though, you don't need to do anything. It is just an information letter. Then we'll follow up at the end of July with the activation codes. You'll have 28 days from the point that the letter is dated to activate your account online. Please be aware at this stage, though, that the letters will be sent over a 4 to 5 week period, so don't worry if you don't receive one immediately. They will get to you, and certainly we hope by the end of August that all the letters have been dispatched and you have your activation codes and you can start logging on to access your account. At the end of July, the first application form will be made available as the activation codes go out. This will be to keep your name on the roll. And for those who need to do this year, we've already sent you a letter in March to notify you of this. And the letters and the activation code letters will also indicate on there that this applies to you. So do read the letters carefully when they come out to you. Then as we move through the rest of the year, the applications that will be made available online will be things such like the training contracts, admissions, but also the practice application and the firm's recognition. The deadline for these application forms is the 31st of October. As usual, that hasn't changed at all. And the applications themselves should be made available towards the end of September for you to start to complete them. Again, in terms of the exact dates, there will be communications on the website and through your profiles as we move near the time. So I'd like to really go into a bit of detail now about how you register for My SRA. As I explained, the letters are going to be coming out with the activation codes towards the end of July, and from there onwards over a 4 to 5 week period. The activation code in there will allow you to log on to My SRA, and at that point you'll be asked some security questions which are based around the information in which we hold on your records. And just to clarify again, you have 28 days to actually activate your account. There's also a few groups that we know that we also need to communicate outside of solicitors and other lawyers. These include trainees and course providers. However, the initial letters in July and August that will be sent out are to solicitors, registered European lawyers and registered foreign lawyers only. Then later in the year we'll contact everybody else and let you know how you can register, how you can access your details or your organisation's details going forward. Okay, so once you've activated your account, you're able to start using My SRA and a list of services available to you. These will appear in your profile, and one of the things that you'll notice about your profile is that it's personalised as much as possible. For example, going forward, the service for renewal of your practice certificate will not appear on your profile. without first being on the roll of solicitors. And that applies to any application. If you're unable to, from a regulatory point of view, to apply for something, it won't appear in there. And so that will be clear and make it obvious to you which ones apply to you. One of the first things you'll be able to do is update your personal information once you log in. And we'd encourage everyone to do that straight away. So we've got up-to-date information. It will help us communicate with you better, and it will also help you and your firm apply for applications later in the year as well. It will mean less work and less time being spent on updating and correcting that information when you apply for your practice certificate. One of the questions that we've been asked over the last few months is about the security of the information that we're going to be holding in the profile. In terms of the security, I'm glad to say that the infrastructure of the online environment has been developed to adhere to industry best practices. So the information that we will store in there is going to be secure. Today what we'd like to do is show you a few screenshots of the online environment, including the profile and the bulk application for practice certificates. So on the screen now, you can see the activation page. Hopefully this gives you a bit of an idea in terms of how the online environment is going to look. What I would say at this stage though, don't get too bogged down with the sort of the details within there, because some of the content is going to change as we near the end of July, and of course the same with the other screenshots we'll show later. That some of the applications are still in development, with there being a number of months away from them actually needing to be used. But hopefully this really gives you an idea. This is where you're actually going to be entering your activation code. And on this page, if you've lost the letter, there's a link on there that you can access, and what that'll do, that'll generate a letter to go out to the address that we hold for you ready. So again, really need to make sure that we've got the correct address for you, so that the letters go out to the correct place, and we can keep communicating to you effectively. Second screenshot we've got here on there now is the login page, the very sort of standard login page that you've seen before online. It's got your username, your password. You'll also be able to you'll also be asked to actually enter some security information. And if you have to log yourself out of the account, you can call the contact centre. Again, our telephone number is 0870 606 2555, and we can reactivate it, and that usually will take about 24 hours. If you've forgotten your password or username, there's a link on that page which you can access, and we'll be able to send the password or username to your email address. Just before we continue further, I think it's just important at this stage to discuss briefly the internet browser requirements that you will need on your computer to make sure it's compatible with the online system. Firstly, if you're using Internet Explorer, then you must have version 8 or later. For Firefox users, it must be version 3.6 or later, Opera 11.01 or later, and Safari version 5 or later. So I've talked broadly about the activation process. I'm going to hand you over to Kelly now for an overview of my profile.
Thank you, Ian. As Ian's explained, the My FRA database is still being developed, so these are just snapshots just to give you a brief overview of what it will look like. So from here in my profile, you'll be able to update your personal details, and as you'll be able to see from the next snapshot, you'll have your ID number, your title, full names, surnames, date of birth. You'll be able to update your telephone numbers, your emails. Now at this point also say you'll actually have options of being able to put more than one telephone number or email address, and then you'll be able to choose which one will be your preferred email and the one you want us to contact you on. You can also see on the left-hand side of the screenshot that you'll have the options to change your password and click on tabs to instantly take you to where you want to go. And on the next snapshot, this shows you how your practicing details will appear on My FRA. And again, this will give you the opportunity and the options of adding your place of work, or if you should change from one practice to another practice, You'll also be able to, if you work at 2 practices, you'll also be able to add your second practice. May I also stress that it is your responsibility to keep these records up to date. This is information that we hold about you, and it should be as current as possible. This will ultimately save you time and your firm time when applying for any applications or notifications. I'm going to talk a little bit about keeping on the roll of solicitors, as this is the next application due to go online. Iain's already talked about letters that have been sent out and activation codes that are going to go out. In mid-March, a letter was sent to all solicitors not holding a practicing certificate, explaining the way in which we are currently, changing the way that we're going to currently work online. Your activation code will be sent to you in late July to allow you to register with us. At this moment, we don't have a specific date of when we hope this to become available, but we do think it will be more towards the end of July. We hope to let you have that information in the same letter as when your activation code will be sent out to you. We'll also advertise the dates on our website as soon as it becomes available. The fee to remain on the roll of solicitors will remain £20. But may I stress that if you've been on the roll for 50 years or more, you will still be exempt from paying the £20 fee. Please note though, you will still be required to register online and complete the application form, which is the KR1. You can pay your fee of £20 via credit or debit card payment. If you do not own your own credit or debit card and are using a trusted friend or family's card, this will be accepted by us. However, please do ensure that you seek permission from the bill payer before proceeding. Please ensure that you complete all the relevant sections of the application form, including the fees page. Ensure you do not close down the application before the money has been taken, if applicable, as this will delay your application. If you have a disability that impacts your use of the internet, you may contact us on 0870 606 2555 to request a reasonable adjustment. It's also quite important to stress that there are some key dates I need to give you. So if you were admitted on or before the 25th of August 2010, you will be required to apply to keep your name on the roll of solicitors this July. If your name was restored to the roll of solicitors on or before the 25th of June 2010, again you will be required to apply in late July to have your name retained on the roll. I'm going to hand you over to Iain again to talk a little bit about renewals and TCs and firm recognition.
Thanks, Kelly. So moving on to practice applications and firm recognition. The application itself will be made available to you from September. The exact date yet is not being confirmed, but we'll communicate that to you as and when we know the detail of that. As with previous years, you'll be able to apply for your practice certificate individually, or your firm will be able to make it on your behalf. This includes all organisations and companies that employ solicitors, and not just law firms, so that remains exactly the same as previous years. But there is also the option of opting out or in of your firm's bulk renewal. To do this, your firm can opt you out of the application if they wish, but you can also do that through your own profile, and if you just go to the professional details, you'll be able to do that there. The type of information we'll be asking for is largely the same, but some of it will be mandatory now in terms of being able to progress with the application. So if it is needed, as with many online applications, you can't progress any further until you've completed that bit. For the bulk renewal, all solicitors or registered European lawyers who are managers, partners or members or what have you are able to complete and sign the application form. However, you also have the option to nominate yourself, if you are a manager, as the authorised signatory. This will then hand the responsibility of completing the declaration over to you. However, we understand that many firms employ individuals like practice managers and admin staff to complete the actual renewal application itself. So with the online application, you still have this option. To do this, that individual would need to set up an account through My SRA and then pass the new ID number that they've been handed to the lawyer who's been nominated as the authorised signatory. They can then access the firm's profile and nominate that employee as an organisation contact. And that contact can then access the application form, can access the firm's details, and can complete the form on the firm's behalf. Glad to say you can also nominate as many contacts as you wish. So if you usually have a number of people working on the application form, you can do that this year, and they can work on more than one section at a time. Hopefully that will help you, reduce the amount of time it takes to complete the form, and help organise, the completion of it as you work through it in October. Once all the information has been provided, the declaration needs to be completed. So regardless of who completes the application form, the declaration must be completed by the authorised signatory. Just to remind you, that's a solicitor or registered European lawyer who is a manager, so a partner or a member or a director of the firm. At this stage, once it's been signed, the declaration will be frozen and changes won't be able to be made to the application form unless the declaration is unchecked by the manager. It can be changed then, and then it must be signed again. So we've got another couple of screenshots to show you. Again, give you an idea in terms of what the application is going to look like. The one on your screens now is just where your firm's details are held and shown with the application form. Now again, if these have changed, this needs to be updated in your profile and should be done at the time that the change happened, not when you're actually applying for the application. So just a reminder really, make sure you're updating the profile for the firm and for individuals as much as possible. Moving on to the second screenshot. This is a view of the search engine that you'll be able to use within the application itself. So this is the bulk renewal, just to remind you. This is particularly useful if you've got a number of employees that you need to apply for in terms of their registration or their practice certificates. It will allow you to search by a letter, the full name, the office they're based at, their SRA number. So you can bring up either one or many different records. You can even actually search for all of your solicitors and it will bring all their records up there. And against their name, you'll see the line going across, the details going across the middle there. That's where it also indicate whether their application has been partially or fully completed, so you can clearly show what's left to do. You'll also be able to save the application, come back to it at a later time, and as I said before, you can have more than one person nominated to actually complete this, and they can do it all at the same time. Moving on to the methods of payment for the application. For individual applications, you will need to pay by debit or credit card. You can also use those methods for the bulk renewal, for the practice certificate and the firm recognition. But you'll also be able to pay by BACS, the CHAPS and a telegraphic transfer. I think one of the questions we've been asked over the last month or so is whether or not the options there for payments to be made by a third party, which are loan companies such as exclusive benefits. The answer to that is yes, you can still use those. That will work in the usual way, and you need to speak to those companies about how they're going to be working it this year. But we're very much expecting that to work in the usual way. You better make your application, submit it, and then either you can make the payment by BACS or the company itself can make the payment directly to us. In terms of deadline, as I said, it's exactly the same deadline as the previous years, the 31st of October. But once you've submitted your application and the fee's been paid, we will then send a notification to you about the decisions that have been made. And some of those will be automatic and immediate, others will take more time if further information is needed. Practice certificates and the certificate of recognition will then be made available in the profile, and they're ready to download and print off as and when you need to. So I hope that gives you more flexibility and greater access to the documents. I'm going to pass you back over to Kelly now.
Thanks, Iain. So when will other services become available online? Really wanted to use the opportunity to cover briefly training contracts, because we envisage that that will be the next one, because many firms, as we know, employ trainees. And as a result of this, the way in which you work may slightly change when the applications go online. These applications will become available in September. The applications which will be going online include those to register a training contract, any cancellations, and to gain authorization as a training provider. Trainees will also be able to apply for admission online. This should mean that you'll be able to track the applications easily, and the online system will help us let you know quickly if there is any further information we need to complete the application. It will also give you and your trainees greater control over the data we hold for you. Some applications may still need to be signed electronically by training principals, and you'll be able to give you further information as we approach September on who can complete the application in more detail and how it will work for these applications. We will also be contacting all CPD providers later in the year prior to September with information on how they can maintain their details online and make online payments. Firms will also be able to submit accounts reports online. Again, I'm going to hand you over to Iain to go through the various ways that you may be able to contact us and get more information on the webinar and frequently asked questions.
Thank you, Kelly. This pretty much sort of concludes the presentation side of the webinar today. But for more information, of course, you can contact us, and we provided our telephone number to the contact centre throughout the presentation today. But you can also find us on the website where you'll find updates about my SRA, about the applications, and there's also FAQs on there which hopefully will help with any questions you might have outside of today. Website is sra.org.uk/mysra. You can also find us on Twitter. Details are on the screen now. And this webinar, future webinars and the ones we've done previously can be found on YouTube.
The presentation element of today's webinar is now complete, and we are about to begin our question and answer section. I'd like to remind you that in order for you to claim 1 hour of attendance as an accredited CPD course, we do ask that you remain with us until the end of the Q&A session. You can now begin or continue to submit text questions and comments using the box provided on the screen. Alternatively, to ask a question or make a comment by telephone, if you have not already dialed in, please dial 0203 159 9716 and type "I want to ask a question by telephone" into the Q&A box, and stand by to be introduced by the operator. Please add your name. To repeat this, the telephone number to ask our presenter a question is 0203 159 9716. When prompted, please enter the PIN code 241377#. To repeat, the PIN code you need to enter is 241377#. These are the same as in your webinar joining instructions email. Please make sure you type "I want to ask a question by telephone" in the Q&A box, and you will be introduced by the operator when the presenters are ready to take your question. The presenters are now ready to answer your questions.
Thank you. The questions are flying in, so we'll kick off straight away. First one that we have is, are we going to receive emails about how and when to register for online applications? Kay, can you help us with this one?
Yeah. For the keeping on the roll of solicitors, you'll receive your activation code, as we said throughout the webinar, end of July. And when you receive your activation code, you'll also be told when the application, the KR1, will become available online. From end of July up to 6 weeks period, we are going to communicate by letter, possibly email. Again, we don't have as much information as we would like, but certainly we're going to communicate with everyone to let them know when applications will become available. We'll also be using the website. We'll also be using emails where possible, and certainly letters. And also when we send activation codes to different groups of solicitors, we'll also have on those when the application becomes available.
I think off the back of that was as well, I've got two kind of related questions. One, will the activation code go via post to solicitors residing outside of the UK? And the answer is yes, it'll be going to the address that we hold for you. So if that's outside the UK, yes it will. We do tend to try and send those out first because of international posts, so hopefully they will get to you. But again, make sure that you know, your details are up to date. But yes, they will. And also a keeping the roll question, do all solicitors who qualified before 2010 need to pay £20 to have their name kept on the roll?
They do. If your name was returned on the roll on the 25th of June 2010, then yes, you will have to pay the £20 fee and apply online.
But I suppose it's only those who don't hold a practice certificate. That's important. If you hold a practice certificate, keeping the roll does not apply to you, and it will be obviously the renewal of your practice certificate, which will probably be the first application that you actually that you submit to us. So yes, again, the letter that you receive, activation letter, will actually refer to the keeping the roll if it applies to you. So do read it carefully.
Mm-hmm. We also have another question come in about, will all aspects of online applications be optional or mandatory? All notifications and applications that we previously done via paper will now all be done online. So therefore, you will need to update your data and make an application online.
I suppose the important exception there is if you do have a disability which affects the impact, your use of the internet, then of course we can look into what we can do for you. For that, you'd need to contact us in the contact centre. Telephone number again is 0870 606 2555, and we can work through in terms of what your needs are. But other than that, really, yes, it is mandatory.
We also have a question come in, is it possible to renew my PC before September? Currently, there is still a paper-based application that you can send in, but at some point there will be a cut-off date of when we'll start or when we stop receiving the paper-based. And again, don't have any dates for you, but again, we'll be advertising this and it will be widely publicised when that cut-off period will happen. But for now, yes, we're still accepting paper applications.
Question here from Mohammed, is it possible for anyone to check solicitor details online? Well, the answer to that is, if you're a practicing solicitor, your details will appear on the Law Society website. I think obviously you're referring to the profile here. In terms of who can access your details on there, well, you can update. You're the only person who can actually access your full profile. However, if you are working for a firm, they can actually update your status there, so they could actually confirm that you've left the organisation or started, or if there's been a change of position that maybe you've been made a partner, they can make those amendments to the online profile and make any applications which may relate to those. But your profile, in terms of the detail in there and the personal bits which don't apply to your firm, it'll only be you that can access those. So hopefully that answers your question there.
We also have another question. In fact, a few of you have asked this. What will happen if I miss off any information by mistake? The way we see the online environment working is majority of the fields are going to be mandatory, so it won't let you go to the next stage unless you actually key in the information we're requesting. However, if you manage to submit your application, we will actually be in touch with you if we then at that point require any further information with you, as we do now.
Got a question here about how do you sign the form if it's online? Very much, I suppose, you've probably done online applications before for car insurance or things like that. I suppose it's not an actual signature, but there'll be a little button that asks you to click and accept the declaration above. And as I say, for certain applications, like the renewals application, only certain designated people will be allowed to sign that, and that will be, for that particular application, a partner or a member or a director of the organisation. So it's an online signatory, and you just need to log into your account and access the form from there. And whoever's completed the application form needs to really communicate with you to say it's completed, it's all done. You can check the details. There's a summary sheet that also be printed off, so you can work through that and just check the information is correct before signing it. Also, a question here just asking for the contact centre telephone number again, which is 0870 606 255. Kelly, you got any more questions?
Yeah, I have another one which says, what will happen if I do not apply for my name to be kept on the roll by the end of July? As we've explained, the activation code, so the code you're going to need to actually register, isn't going to be sent out until the end of July. And the regulation states that you actually have up to 8 weeks from the time that we'll actually have the application online to actually apply online to keep your name on the roll as solicitor. So you actually have 8 weeks to apply, so it's not that the deadline is the end of July. We'll have only sent the activation codes at the end of July.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions here relating to different applications being available online, so I'll cover these. The first one is, are we bringing the Qualified Lawyers Transfer Scheme applications online as well? The answer is yes to that. It isn't being released immediately. It will certainly be released by the end of the year and available for people to actually apply through there. So yes, absolutely, it will be made available, and actually going forward, all applications will be made available through the online service. Also a question about accounts reports, will they be submitted online? Yes, they will be. Again, they're going to be available from September, and the detail in terms of how it works hasn't yet been confirmed, but roughly speaking, there is a section obviously for your accountant to complete. They will need to be given access to the accounting report side of it only, obviously, and so we'll communicate with firms about how they do that, how your accountant actually accesses the report online. But absolutely, and we're expecting that the first accounts reports can be submitted online by the end of September.
We have another question here come in to say, will the standard information you have on the firm and individual be pre-printed? Yes, it will do. It will when you see my SRA, the profile itself will hold all the information. For an individual, we'll have the information of where we currently have you working for. In a firm, we'll also have all the details of all currently the solicitors we have working at individual branches, which is why we stress that it's really important that you actually update your own profile or the firm's profile before completing any application, because you might find out you have to go back out if some of the information is wrong. For instance, if a solicitor's left the organisation or the firm, you would have to, the individual would have to go and change that to say they no longer work there. But yes, majority of the information will be pre-populated already. You won't be starting from a blank application form.
Just a quick reminder, you can ask us a question by telephone if you want to speak directly to us. The instructions were there, you just need to text through that you want to actually do that by phone. Okay, just a reminder, but happy to carry on with these, absolutely fine. Okay, next question is, what happens if the letter is lost or if you get to go online after the 28-day deadline? In terms of the letters being lost and the activation code, you can, if you do lose that, go onto my SRA page, go to the activation page, and then there'll be a link on there saying lost activation letter or lost activation code. Click on that, that will generate another letter to come out to you. In terms of the 28 days, if you do happen to go 28 days, at the moment what you'll need to do is call the contact centre. We'll have to actually sort of reactivate your account and send out another letter to you. But as I say, I mean, the 28 days hopefully gives you a good period of time to actually log on. Albeit, obviously, we know people on holiday and what have you. So, you're not excluded. Obviously, you can get in contact with us and we'll do that. But we'd obviously encourage everyone to try and do that as soon as they can, so that that's kept to a minimum.
Okay, I have another question here, again staying on the roll. I qualified in 2010, do I need to pay to stay on the roll? If you qualified on or before the 25th of August 2010, then yes, you will be required to apply when the KR is available online this year.
Okay, I'll do a couple of questions here. Are you eventually going to be able to submit your CPD training record online as a formal requirement? Well, in terms of CPD actually, and from the SRA's point of view, we ask you on the renewal forms whether you've completed your CPD hours for the year. That won't change. You just need to confirm that. In terms of actually your CPD record though, the Law Society actually have a CPD section of their website which you can actually enter your details in there and they'll keep your CPD record electronically. So that option is already there actually, but it is through the Law Society, so if you're not aware of that, do have a look at their website. And I have a question here about the completing of the application forms. Will the standard information you have on the firm and individuals be pre-printed or pre-populated on the application form, to allow, and then any amendments being made after that? Well, yes, actually, any information that is in your profiles, all the firm's profiles, actually will feed directly into the application forms. So it's not asking you to actually update that. It's really looking for the confirmation of any information that we need on a yearly basis. So that might be things about holding clients' money, it might be CPD, it might be information about insurance and your indemnity insurance. So yes, if we've got the information in the profile, it will be fed in, and again, hopefully that saves some time there.
We also have a question saying, how long do I have to update my profile, for example, changing of a firm? Well, your profile is there, and you should be updating this regularly. So if you should, we don't actually set a timeline, but however, you do need to update this as soon as you do change from one firm or another. If you change your email address or your telephone number, these are the contact details we hold for you. So to contact you to ensure we have the correct data, it is your responsibility to update any information immediately. Ian, do you have any more?
Yes, I have a question about will suitably test be online? So that's the what we call the Colps and Coffers, which is the financial yes, it's the regulatory officer for the legal practice and the financial officer as well, which is related to outcome-focused regulation. Yes, they will be online. I haven't got a date actually in terms of when they will be. I believe it's going to be from September, but really I'd have to come back to you with that one. It will be on the website, information about that, and also applications for alternative business structures will be on there. I must say, however, myself and Kelly probably aren't the experts on those applications and the alternative business structures, but yes, they will be. Every application is going to be online, and the information in terms of when they'll be will be on the website. So have a look out on the My SRA section of that.
Somebody's also queried how much it is to keep your name on the roll of solicitors. It does remain at £20. However, I did say that if you've been on the roll for more than 50 years, you are exempt from paying the £20 fee. So the fee is £20 unless you've been on the roll for more than 50 years.
Just a quick clarification, it seems a little bit confused in terms of the keeping of the roll and who that applies to. Just to be very clear, we've included it in the presentation today because there are 30,000 solicitors who this does apply to, but if you hold a practice certificate, you do not need to keep your name on the roll. That forms part of your practice application in October. It is only those who are without a practice certificate that will be asked to keep their name on the roll and pay the £20 fee. So just for clarification again, and if you're at all unsure, obviously you can contact us directly and speak to the contact centre. Question also about what happens if the activation code is intercepted and they try to use your details. Well, you won't be able to actually log in purely with using the activation code. So yes, it has to go to your address, which we have on the system. If they intercept that, when they put the activation code, it's going to then send you an email to the email address we already hold for you. And so there's a number of different levels of security that are based in there. It would be, I think, it'd be unusual if they're then going to hold your email address as well. However, then when they log in, they actually have been asked more security information about yourself. And so actually, there's, as I say, a number of different security measures that have been put in. The way we're doing this does actually meet industry best standards, best practices as well. So we are trying to ensure that it is as secure as possible. Of course, like any other sort of account information, like you do with your bank, if you're ever at all unsure if someone's actually got hold of your details, contact us immediately and we can look into that for you. But as I say, just simply getting hold of the activation letter isn't going to be enough for them to actually get into your account.
Okay, we're just waiting for some more questions to come through. So,
okay, well,
has anybody, if you've got any more questions, just type them in the box.
Getting loads of questions though as we've been going through, so hopefully we've covered a lot of what everyone is needing out there. We'll just wait a little moment longer just to see if anything else comes in.
In terms of, sorry, Iain.
No, go ahead, Kelly.
In terms of going online, there actually isn't anything that you actually are required to do immediately. It's a question of waiting for yourself to receive your activation code. We'll obviously be getting in touch with all the different groups of solicitors. So solicitors who don't hold a practicing certificate will be contacted separately. Individuals who do hold a practicing certificate and want to renew their practicing certificates will be writing to them and explaining the changes that we're going through and the merging onto our online system, and then be contacting you separately with your activation code. And this is going to be a phased period over 6 to 8 weeks starting late July. So there's nothing for you to actually do now. The webinar and the slides that we've shown you and a snapshot of what my SRA is just to give you a feel of what it's going to look like. I think we have some more questions coming through. It says, if you have a query or if a profile is updated, will you send an email notification or will we have to remember to check?
Not too sure what that's referring to. I mean, in terms of if you update the profile, no, we won't send a notification to say it's been done because, you know, you're there doing it and, you know, you'll know that it's there. Whether that's referring to applications, if we require you to submit an application like the practicing renewal, we will send a notification to you to remind you that that has to be done. We have a duty to remind you on certain occasions that the applications need to be made, and that will continue in the same way it has. But if it's led by yourself and it's updated for the profile, no, we don't send anything additional to that. And again, I've just got another question about signing of the renewal form. I think just to go over that again briefly, the signing of the renewal form has to be done by a manager of the firm. So if that's a law firm, that needs to be a partner, a member, or a director who is a solicitor or a registered European lawyer. If it's a commercial company, then it just needs to be a solicitor or registered European lawyer within the office. In terms of how it's signed, what we're probably expecting people to do is actually have staff that will be completing the application form. As I say, you can nominate them as the organisation contact. They can actually edit the application form, complete the sections within there, but it will need, the signatory will need to be by a solicitor or registered European lawyer. So that person has been updated, needs to contact the authorised signatory who's been nominated for the firm to sign the declaration, and then you'll log in to the profile. And you can log into your own profile. You can then access the firm's RF1 application form to renew the practice certificates, and go to the declaration section and then indicate that you've accepted the declaration, and then click proceed.
Can I just remind everybody that if anybody wants to ask an audio question, the number to dial is 0203 159 9716, and you just need to type "I want to ask a question by telephone" into the Q&A box.
Okay, just got a question about your accounts report. My accounts report is due at the end of September. Will the report come in paper format as usual before then? My understanding at the moment is that no, it won't, and it actually be looking for it to go online. Details haven't yet been confirmed, but we will obviously communicate. If it's going ahead online for the end of September, we will be writing out to you to inform you of when that will be. Okay. It has yet to be confirmed, the actual start date for the accounts reports. Whichever format it is, we're going to be communicating with you at that point, and be able to explain how that happens. Okay, so I can't give you a full answer on that question at the moment, but of course you can email us in and we can forward it to the relevant department should you need an answer for that over the next month or so. Okay.
It looks like questions have dried out, Iain.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll leave it there. So thank you for attending today's webinar. Thanks for all the questions, and hopefully it's been really helpful. So thank you.
Thank you from me.